The Vatican is the smallest country in the entire world, yet its influence stretches across continents and centuries. At less than half a square kilometer in size, it could easily be overlooked on a map of Europe, yet millions know it as the heart of the Catholic faith. Fewer than 1,000 people live inside its walls, but each plays a role in the life of this unusual state. Among them are the Swiss Guards, a force of little more than 100 men sworn to protect the Pope with their lives. Their brightly colored uniforms may appear ceremonial, yet their task is deadly serious. They guard the man considered by over 1 billion people as the Bishop of Rome, the heir of St. Peter, the shepherd of the Catholic Church. What is astonishing is how this hill once seemed worthless. During the Roman Empire, the land was known as Vaticanus, and it was seen as unwelcoming. The Tiber River flooded it often, and nearby tribes posed constant danger. Few Romans cared for it. Yet history turned this neglected corner into sacred ground. Agrippina the Elder changed the fate of the hill when she had the land drained and built gardens upon it. Her son added a circus, though it was not finished until the reign of Emperor Nero. It soon gained infamy as the Circus of Nero, a place where Christians were executed for their faith. Among those who died there according to tradition was Peter the Apostle, who became the first bishop of Rome. To this day, a monument stands as witness to those events. The Vatican obelisk was first brought from Egypt by Caligula. Centuries later, Pope Sixtus V had it moved to the hill where it remains in St. Peter's Square. For the faithful, it became a reminder of both suffering and triumph. A reminder of Peter, who gave his life here, and a sign that this hill was destined to become the center of the church that bore his name. In the year 326, Constantine, the first Christian emperor, ordered the construction of a basilica over what was believed to be the tomb of Peter. This church stood for over 1,000 years and turned Vatican Hill into the focal point of Christian devotion. As centuries passed, new palaces and chapels rose beside it. By the 6th century, popes were building their residences here, showing that the hill was no longer a neglected corner, but the seat of spiritual power. By the 8th century, the authority of the papacy extended across the Italian peninsula. The Papal States were formed, vast lands ruled directly by the Pope. Cities and provinces bowed to his authority. The Pope was not only a shepherd of souls but a temporal ruler with armies and taxes. For centuries, the popes balanced their dual roles as both heads of the church and princes of the earth. But times changed. As Europe modernized, ideas of nationalism spread, and Italy moved toward unification. For centuries, the peninsula had been divided into kingdoms, duchies, and papal domains. Now the dream was of one Italy under one crown. This dream would collide directly with papal power. In 1861, Victor Emmanuel II was declared King of Italy. His government named Rome the capital. Yet French troops still guarded the Pope and his holdings. For a time, the papacy survived behind this shield. But history marched on. When France withdrew its soldiers during the Franco-Prussian War, the Italian army advanced. Pope Pius IX rejected pleas for peaceful surrender. He denounced the kingdom with fiery words, calling his opponents traitors. Days later, Italian troops entered Rome. On September 20, 1870, the Eternal City fell. The Papal States were gone. The Pope no longer held territory beyond his walls. Thus began what came to be called the Roman Question. For nearly 60 years, the popes considered themselves prisoners of the Vatican, refusing to leave their palaces or to recognize the legitimacy of the Italian kingdom. Negotiations dragged on as decades passed. The solution finally came in 1929 when Pope Pius XI met with representatives of King Victor Emmanuel III and Benito Mussolini. They signed the Lateran Treaty. With it, Vatican City was born as a sovereign state, independent and recognized. In return, the papacy acknowledged the Kingdom of Italy and gave up all claims to the wider Papal States. The treaty settled the Roman question once and for all. The Vatican was tiny yet sovereign. Its independence carried immense symbolic weight. It was proof that the Church, though stripped of earthly lands, still stood above kings and states as a spiritual authority. The 20th century would test that independence. During the Second World War, Rome was occupied, yet Vatican City remained neutral. Both Axis and Allied powers respected its status. The United States even forbade attacks that might endanger it. Pilots who felt uneasy about bombing near the Vatican were granted exemptions. Though the city around it was scarred by war, Vatican City remained untouched apart from leaflets dropped by planes. When peace returned, the papacy reformed its institutions. The old papal army was dissolved, leaving only the Swiss Guard and the Vatican police to protect the Pope. In the decades that followed, the Vatican adapted to the modern world. Popes traveled abroad addressing crowds of millions. They spoke out on war, peace, justice, and human dignity. Yet through all this, the Vatican remained the same small enclave, a walled city surrounded by Rome. Its continued existence defies logic. How can a territory so small remain independent? The answer lies not in size or military might, but in meaning. The Vatican endures because it is the heart of the Catholic Church. It is the residence of the Pope, the successor of Peter. Nations across the world respect it not for its land, but for its influence. If ever the Catholic Church lost its followers, the Vatican might vanish as a state. But as long as the Church commands loyalty, the Vatican stands. Pilgrims gather in St. Peter's Square from every continent. They look toward the balcony where the Pope blesses them. They feel the weight of history, where Peter once died, where Constantine built his basilica, where popes and kings clashed, and where faith endured. The Vatican is more than a nation. It is a symbol of survival through centuries of conflict. A symbol of continuity from the days of Nero to the present. Its walls may be small, but within them lies a story greater than any empire.